Alrighty, welcome back. We are back with Everweave. Going to be continuing along on this journey. However, we are going to be doing something a little different. I created a character in the last game, or last live stream, and even continued it there. The problem is that I did continue, even though I probably shouldn't have, and it did create some interesting stuff. We may end up coming back to our halfling rogue that is an eldritch, or not an eldritch, Jesus Christ, my brain, a fae. But I want to try something. We'll do it this way. What I'll probably do from now on is we'll start a character, and then we will stay with that character only on stream until its story is completed. So we're going to go ahead and I kind of want to do the elf for this. Oh, I gotta look up what the... Because I don't actually remember... Hold on. I'm trying to remember the... My brain is not wanting to work with me right now. I'm wanting to remember all the individual, like, how each race affects your character, because I can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't keep enough of this information written down in 90% of the time. So Elf is going to receive 2 to Dexterity. We're going to get Dark Vision, Fey Ancestry, which makes it harder for enemies to charm you, and you can't be put to sleep from magic. This could actually be really useful. Plus 2 to Dexterity is not bad. I guess, yeah, we'll do that. Elf. We'll do elf. We're gonna do fighter. So unfortunately, knight or soldiers, any of that's not in the game. So for what I'm particularly thinking for this, I think fighter is going to be our best bet. So I want to go maybe one of 2 directions with the story. Either we could be a ranger, which is an option, or we could go. We start off as a. How do I want to navigate this story? Okay, I don't want it to be very, very quick. I don't want it to be too long either. So we'll go fighter. We're gonna do dueling because we're essentially going to be making our way to a knight. So this is going to be around sword and shield or dual wielding. Is kind of what we're dealing with here. For our proficiencies, we're going to want probably perception and insight, right? Because if we want to be very good fighters, perception and insight would be probably among our best of determining like the power levels of specific people. I think that's going to be kind of where we want to go with it. Obviously, we're going to be maxed out in strength. We can actually do a 14 on dexterity, and it would be the same as a 16, giving us 2 extra points that we don't... Actually, I think it's 4 extra points that we don't have to spend into dexterity. Constitution would probably be pretty good to go ahead and do here. Since that determines our health points to a point. Probably go to 14 there. Actually, Down to 12 is probably better. We don't really need charisma, since we're probably going to be beating our way through most things. The problem is, like, a lot of this stuff we should probably be a lot better on than we're going to be. I kind of want to do this stat spread. I feel like this stat spread is going to be pretty good. So we have maxed out strength, maxed out dexterity, both of which are pretty crucial towards what we're probably going to try to do 90% of the time. Constitution's pretty good. And then our wisdom and intelligence aren't great, but they're not bad. They aren't great, but they're not bad. So we'll run with that. All right. So how do we want to do this? So elves are fairly tall, right? So we'll go like 6'5", right? Elves are fairly tall. I want to say, or are they just slender? Hold on. I actually don't remember. Roughly about 6 feet, yeah. A little over 6 feet. So, yeah, 6'6", 6'5", roughly around there is pretty normal. Oh, okay. However, in D&D, they're often shorter or similar to human heights, while Christmas elves are small. All right, so I guess it really depends. We're not doing Lord of the Rings style. So we're going to do probably closer to like D&D, where they are roughly, normal height. So our character, I'm going to place him a little bit on the shorter side at 5'8". Yeah. Probably a little bit on the shorter side. So we're going to stand 5. I always forget that you just do it like this. 5'8" tall. Am slender build. All right. We're gonna go with. Are we gonna run the elves are just really, really old? So like, let's think about the scale of an elf's life in our story. I would say probably about 1,000 years. So 100 years old would probably be roughly where an elf would be considered an adult or has come of age. I think that's a pretty nice way to word it. That gives us a lot of wiggle room timeline wise. Considering everything. Alright, as far as equipment goes, anything that we should have on us, because what we're going to do is we're essentially, the story I want to kind of run with, we've essentially just come of age, so we're just now allowed to leave our home city. We actually don't need to word it that way, because we can add in the whole just come of age thing in the biography. So I want to kind of word it as like, hey, we've just come of age, we've set out on our own for the first time, and we are on a journey to become a distinguished knight. So, and in my story, I kind of want us to have like 2 paths for a knight, right? You can either be a solo knight, or you can be a knight that follows under a lord, essentially, is kind of how I want to go about it. So as far as equipment, we should start out with of leather armor, long sword, and round shield. We're gonna make it wooden. Wadden. Jesus. Alright. And then any distinguishing features. So let's think. I have long blonde hair that reaches my shoulder blades. Okay, that gives us, somewhat long hair, nothing too crazy, right? We already know long pointy ears and such. I don't think we really need to include that. Huh. What kind of elf do we want to be? Do we want to have the different factions, like the Drow, the High Elves, the Standard Elves? Do we kind of want to go that route, like Imperial Elves as well? Like, do we want to go that route? In which case, I kind of... Oh. This could be a story similar to, like, Dritz Duerden from the Dragon Realm series. We could be a Drow. That's kind of cool. I like that. That actually we would include in biography, now that I think about it. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to our DM stuff. Themes. Obviously, we're going to be running on fantasy. Let's see. Realistic dialogue. If I can ever learn how to spell, that'd be great. I'm just really bad at spelling, apparently. Apparently, I've always been really bad at spelling. I always thought like I would get better at it as time went on. Apparently not. Let's see. Oh, I gotta... Looking at something real quick. I feel like... Oh, there it is. Let's see here. Alright, so realistic dialogue, fantasy. We're gonna do... For themes. I'm trying to remember what all themes were, like, actually available. See, Echo, the community manager for this game, has actually done a very good job of compiling like a list of ones that are like really good versus ones you typically don't want to have in your game. So I'm kind of looking at that list real quick. Alright, so yeah, realistic dialogue is pretty much mandatory. We kind of want to do... Adventure. Do we want to do more of a modern fantasy? This would be the first time I've had like a modern fantasy style. So I kind of want to give it a try. Modern fantasy. Let's do that. Because I've done mainly like older things, right? Where it kind of does the... Or do we want to do... No, I don't know if I want to do dark fantasy. Right? I don't know if I want to do dark fantasy. I think that would be probably pretty bad. Let's see here. Alright, I think that's probably pretty good for the themes. If we can think of any others, then if you have any suggestions, please send them in the chat so that I will more than likely take them into account as I'm going through this. I'm more than happy to do live feedback on stuff like that, because I've seen some streams of this game, and that actually tends to create some really cool stories, in my opinion. So then we're going to go to DM setting. So, what kind of... We're doing more of a modern, so I want it to be... So I don't think we really need to worry about giving a time frame. Actually, you know what? Let's not do modern fantasy, because then I'm worried we're going to have cars and swords, things, and guns and all of that. It may not work out. Not for, like, the type of story I'm trying to go with. Let's see. DM setting. What do we want to do for setting? You know what? I will come back to that. I'm not sure really what to do there yet. DM avoid... So we're going to want to avoid cults, ley lines. Do we even want to have magic? I don't think I want to do magic, but I do want sword arts. We'll do no magic for this storyline. I think that would be a very interesting storyline, actually. Cults, ley lines, magic, rot. We don't want to do voids. Okay, I don't know what music the radio's gone to, but that's actually really cool. Oh, it doesn't tell me. Oh, there it is. Oh, I was about to say Turbo Overkill. I've never heard of that, but I like this. I like this song. The song's pretty cool. All right. Let's see here. Voids. Yeah, I think we should. I think that should do for things to avoid. Should probably be pretty good there. All right. Do we have any innate abilities? Actually, we're gonna do our ancestral sword art. The problem is that this is not going to work in combat. It might, actually. It might, if we play this correctly. We're going to write it as adding 1d6 light damage. On hit. That actually might work for what we're trying to do. You can't make it too complicated. Like, you can't have martial art forms and sword art forms that deal their own damage calculations aside from, like, your weapon. A lot of times that just, like, the combat DM will just outright ignore you and will not let you use it at all. I'll just be like, yeah, that's not a thing. And then I'll just move on. Alright, so I feel like that is really cool. That gives us a little more agency with our attacks. It helps create a more diversified attack style. Do we kind of want to just leave the setting up to the DM? I think we do. I think that is what we'll end up doing, is just leaving the setting up to the DM. Because if we try to go in and create our own DM setting, I'm worried it's going to not work the way that we want it to. We're going to do factions as well, because I want... No... To be honest, I don't even know what adding factions in there even does, because I've never seen it actually make a difference. Which is the sad part, because you feel like it should. But it just doesn't. Okay, we'll move on to biography here. Every time I've tried to do, hey, like if I ever do skill check stuff or anything like that, it never works. It really doesn't. I don't know why it doesn't work, but it always ignores whatever I put in there. Alright, biography. Come of age. And have set out on a journey to become a master knight. Have left my home for the first time. Let's see, how do we... I want to... Control of the Drow elves. Fading into the background. Jesus. Okay. So in order to prevent I am a Drow elf. I don't... God, my spelling. Please don't make fun of my spelling. I know it's bad. You can make fun of me. I'm not gonna take it personally. But yeah. Alright, let's see here. How do we... My older brother, Jared, has already set out on his journey a few years ago. So we'll do that to give us kind of like a subplot of finding Jared. DM a story to have a robust adventure as I travel the 3 major continents. Have some romance and nah. If it happens, it happens, but I'm not going to sit here and tell the DM, like, I want some kind of romance story to happen in this. The dungeons and treasure hoards to find. Story will come to an end. I don't want to set an end here because then if we do that and we hit it rather quickly, the DM's just going to end the story right there and we're not going to have any agency at all, which would be terrible. Let's see. Is there anything else we're really looking for? Want to search for my brother and earn the recognition of the various elf races and branches of elves. So we're going to do 4 major factions of elves. I'll probably write it in there at some point to give the DM to run off of. But we're going to have the drow, which are your low elves, your base elves, your high elves, and then your imperial elves, which are essentially like the king and queen of the elf society. Should be kind of interesting. I want there to be a diverse set of races, both standard in D&D and some that are unique. That way it can throw some weird curveballs at us. That's always fun. We always want some curveballs here and there. If you have any suggestions, I'm more than happy to hear them. Just throw them up in the comments section. I am watching those. If you guys want to chat with me directly, I do have that up for me to respond to in real time. It may be slightly behind since, I think there is some offset between the recording and what you guys are actually seeing. I think it's like a 30-second to a minute offset. I'm actually not sure what the offset is. We're going to do Argus, Shadowleaf. Right? That was what I decided. Yeah, Argus. Cool. I like it. I think that's going to end up being really good. We have a pretty diverse set of abilities. Our sword art is pretty good. We do not have any form of magic. Actually, I don't like that. Because the elves are a magical race. In that case, do we want to have an innate magic? Do we want to have an innate magic? If we do, it's got to be something rather simple that usually works for outside of combat, because combat will probably ignore it. We're gonna call it... We already have night vision. So we already have a moonblade. I wonder if we should do some kind of like wind magic of some kind. How about Sylph's Blessing? We can do elementals in here. That would be kind of cool, right? I think that would be fun. So we have Sylph's Blessing, which is like the fairy queen of air. That'd be kind of cool. What should it do? Say like twice a day. Can use this blessing to conjure a force of wind to take the shape of my choosing. That actually works out really well. So like twice a day, what we'll have the ability to do is essentially we can make a wind blade, we can make a wind shield, we could use wind to have stairs, realistically. I think that'd be rather cool. And then for that we want elementals. No, elemental spirits. Without ley lines, that might act a little weird. But we can have like the realm of the spirits. Yeah, we could do that. And the 3 outer realms. So this could be like the elementals, so like the spirit realm, where the elemental spirits reside. We didn't say anything about celestial beings, so we could probably do a god realm. You know, we could kind of let the DM kind of come up with that. I think this is pretty solid, all in all. I think this works really, really well for what exactly we're wanting. So we're going to do this. The inverted forest, I know, is not always a great one. So let's do... It honestly doesn't matter where we start, to be fair. No matter where we start, we're going to do a unique scenario. I don't think I've had a single, like, standard start since my first story I ever made. I think every single one of them has been a unique story. It puts us here. Alright, well, we're going to do this. Alright, so DM, please create a unique start scenario using my character appearance and backstory for themes and settings. Thank you. Let's see if it gave us our standard equipment. It should have. So we're going to get +0 to these three, which is fine. Dexterity and strength are going to get +3, and then charisma gets -1, which is honestly fine. As far as equipment goes, we have our longsword, we have our chainshare. Okay, so we're going to need to immediately proposition the DM to give us a small round shield and a leather cuirass, maybe? Should go rather quickly. So we're off to a solid start at least. Okay. So we'll go ahead and read this. But we'll... Actually, let's immediately... The DM will just kind of repeat this message. We do not have the equipment I should start with. Please refer to my appearance. I just spelled it right. Earance. Okay. Appearance. And add to my inventory a wooden... Not wooden. Jesus Christ. Round shield and a leather cuirass. I actually have no idea how to spell that. Hold on. I know it's basically like a leather vest. Okay, it is CUIR. And then just ASS. Okay. I played Diablo for a lot of years. You would think I would know how to spell that. So, there's that. You'd think I would know how to spell that, but I guess not. All right. Thank you. So 14 coins to start off with sounds about right for somebody who just left home, even though I'm like 100 years old already. It's like young for elves, I guess. Let's see what it does now. It should just give it to us. Though sometimes the DM can be a little weird. Sometimes he can be a little weird. Anytime it has to generate an inventory like that, it's going to take a minute. Really? But we know it's going to take a minute, so... also, if the music's too loud or it's too quiet, please say something and I will fix it. Because I want you guys to be able to hear it, but also be able to hear me. So if it's too loud, just let me know. Okay. Did it fix it? It didn't fix it. Um, I think from there, we may just... It said I have it and then didn't add it. Gotta love it. Okay, let's see. We'll do this then. Alright, we'll just kind of move on along. We'll try to fix it later. Alright, so the vibrant sprawl of Eldoria's market district assaults your senses, a stark contrast to the quieter grandeur of the drow capital you left behind. Sunlight, alien and bright, glints off polished silver and woven silks, casting long shadows that barely touch your natural dark skin. Your long blonde hair, unusual for a drow, draws curious glances from the fair-skinned elves and other folk bustling past. Suddenly, the air crackles with an unnatural energy. A guttural roar tears through the din of the market, followed by a violent tremor that shakes the cobblestones beneath your feet. A wave of intense heat washes over you as the towering column of flame erupts from the central plaza, sending panicked merchants and shoppers scattered in every direction. From the heat of the inferno, a monstrous figure takes shape, a swirling vortex of fire and smoke, its eyes burning like twin coals. It unleashes another deafening roar, and the stone of a nearby merchant stall begins to melt under its gaze. Chaos reigns supreme in the confusion. A flash of familiar silver catches your eye as it falls from a fleeing figure. A medallion bearing the intertwined serpent and sword, a symbol you recognize from your brother Jared's possessions. Jesus. Alright, the newly acquired weight of the leather cuirass feels reassuring against your chest. The familiar grip of the wooden shield brings a small measure of comfort amidst the growing pandemonium. The roar of the fire elemental rips through the market once more, and a nearby stall collapses into a shower of sparks and flaming debris. Your gaze, however, is fixed on the silver medallion now lying discarded on the scorched cobblestones. Its intertwined serpent and sword, the sigil of your family, is unmistakable. A symbol worn only by those of your bloodline. A symbol you know Jared carried. The fleeing figure is lost in the panicked crowd, but the elemental now turns its fiery attention towards a cluster of defenseless merchants, their cries of terror piercing the smoky air. The heat intensifies, making the air shimmer. What do you do? So, I don't really have a reason to have to fight this thing, right? So, I guess the question now is like, do we fight it, or do we just kind of move on, grab the... No, because I want to become a knight, right? Knights are considered to be noble, and I don't want to be known as a knight that turns his back on people that are in need, right? So let's go ahead and do... Let's do this. Grabbing the medallion. Let's see here. Oh, that's why it sounds familiar. Alright, dash forward, grabbing the medallion. Let's see. in my pocket before turning toward the, not tuning, turning the elemental and pulling my sword. Quickly cast Sylph's Blessing and coat the blade in energy. Adding 1d4 to my strikes for the next 2 minutes. Let's do that route. That way, hopefully the combat DM is more likely to accept that damage output, because we're going to be using our Moonblade in combination with the wind. Hopefully creating a much stronger form of attack. With that, we'll kind of go from there. Let's do this. Alright. Yep, immediately goes into combat. So we did use Sylph's Blessing. The Towering Fire Elemental is its molten eyes fixed on the scattering merchants unleashes a guttural roar, its body pulsating with intense heat. It pivots slowly, its fiery form now directly facing you, as if sensing your challenge. The air around it shimmers, a clear sign of its hostile intent. Alright, so how do we want to navigate this? So we're gonna sprint forward and use first form of blade slicing across the chest of the elemental, dealing 1d8 slashing damage plus 1d6 light damage and 1d4 wind damage on hit. It may accept this, it may not. We'll have to kind of see. Usually, if you like, the DM's pretty good about like working with logic. So if you give it a logical reason, which is what we did here with Sylph's Blessing, and then me mentioning the Moonblade style, should automatically move into it. Got a 22 out of 9, or 22 versus 9. So we are going to get the roll for damage. It should calculate the... Okay. You sprint forward your enchanted longsword, a blur as it slices through the fire elemental's chest. The magic wind surrounding your blade crackles with energy, and a searing light erupts from the point of impact. The elemental shudders, a portion of its fiery form dissipating as your attack connects. You deal a total of 11 damage, a combination of slashing, light, and wind energy. Your enchanted longsword cuts deep into the fire elemental, dealing a combined 11 points of slashing, light, and wind damage. So we can do this one of two ways. We can either resubmit it and see what it does, or we can just kind of run with this by just acknowledging that this happened. Fire elemental defeated, and it's... Do we want to do crystals? Form, dissipate. Really? Did I really spell that wrong? There we go. Let's see. How do we want to do this? Alright, so with the fire elemental defeated, its form dissipating, a small red gem falls to the ground. Choose core. Yeah, we'll do crystal cores. Walk over and retrieve the small gem. Realizing appears to be a tier 0. So we'll probably do 9 tiers, or 10 tiers total, 0 through 9. Very variable, but better than nothing. Round to check anyone needs help. All right, let's see what it does. Oh, let's see if it ignores us or if it works with us. Kind of go from there. Any ideas? Story more interesting. There we go. Sure is thinking for a while. I think it's because it's moving between combat and narrative sections. Oftentimes, switching between combat, narrative, and dialogue can be a bit difficult. Okay, yeah, that, and it also had to generate this. Alright. Alright, you step over the cooling embers, the acrid smell or scent of ash stinging your nostrils. At the center of the charred circle, where the elemental once raged, a small pulsating red gem lies embedded in the scorched cobblestone. You bend down and pluck the elemental core from its resting place, feeling its faint warmth against your fingertips before tucking the modest prize away. The initial shock of the attack begins to recede, replaced by a cautious hum as the market slowly stirs back to life. Merchants emerge from behind overturned stalls, their faces etched with fear and relief. A burly middle-aged woman in a blood-spattered apron, seemingly unharmed but shaken, stumbles out from behind a fallen fruit cart, her eyes wide with a mixture of terror and gratitude as they fall upon you. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and walk over and help her to right the fallen cart. Helping by righting the fallen fruit cart. Then move to help others and do that. Alright. You move towards the fallen fruit cart, its contents spilled across the cobblestones, bruised apples, shattered gourds, and splintered wood. With a grunt of effort, you brace yourself and push against the heavy wooden frame. The cart grinds against the stone, slowly tilting upright with a protesting creak, its remaining produce still precariously balanced. The burly woman, still clutching her apron, watches your efforts with a mixture of awe and relief. A few other dazed merchants begin to stir cautiously, emerging from their hiding spots, some already tending to their wares and checking on their neighbors. The air, though still carrying the scent of ash, now holds a faint undertone of renewed hope as the community slowly begins the arduous task of piecing itself back together. Okay. Merchants point direct of the Adventurers Guild. We'll do that. So this should establish guilds, which we'll have several ranks for to slowly work our way up. And we will need to find a knight mentor to become their squire. Let's see what it comes up with for a scenario. It's probably moving into dialogue mode, so this may take a little longer than they normally do. Try not to leave a whole lot of blank space where nothing's going on, where I'm kind of just sitting here staring at a screen, essentially. Because at the same time, you guys are kind of also doing the same thing. Which is never really okay, but I also understand. Sure it's taking it a while. Ugh. Oh, Lord. It is sure taking a while. More longer than I was expecting, for sure. There we go. Alright, Draga Hearthkin. The Adventurers Guild. Aye, it's just past the smithy on the corner of the stone gate. The stone gateway. Can't miss it, the sign's got a big iron dragon on it. But before you go, I haven't forgotten what you did. Here, lad, you saved more than just a few crates of apples when you stepped in. Thank you. Draga stops smoothing her apron and looks up at the drow, her large blue eyes softening. She gestures a slightly soot-stained hand toward the north end of the market, then gives a brief, appreciative nod. Oh, she's got mainly, like, earth and root vegetable mix. Fragrant dried herbs. Local berry wine. Smoked mountain sausage is kind of interesting. Huh. Okay. I just happened to be nearby. Anything special? I say with a nod, then head for the guild. All right. Wait, lad, don't go rushing off just yet. A belly empty of anything but ash won't serve you well at the guild. Here, take this, a little sustenance for the road. Draga quickly reaches out, or reaches for a fresh, sturdy rye loaf from the least damaged shelf of her stall, tucking it into a small cloth wrapping. She hurries a few steps after the young drow, extending the bundle toward him with a firm, expectant look. Thank you. We're just gonna say thank you. Taking the loaf. Make way to the guild. Alright, so we found a dwarf, I think. Pretty sure it's meant to be a dwarf. Could be a halfling. Watches the drow for a heartbeat, her expression softening into a genuine tired smile as she turns away. She lets out a long, huffing breath, then squares her shoulders and turns back to her ruined cart, beginning to methodically pull blackened fruit from her crate. Alright, so we don't create any issues. Use in dialogue mode. What the? Thank you. Come on, DM, work with me. Alright, so we're going to do this. That wasn't what I wanted. We're going to back out. Go back in. It should. Yeah, there we go. Make my to the guild hall following lady directions. See the sign she mentioned. The building is large and well made. Clear sign of a successful guild. Walk in and head to the counter. Sign. Basically, what I'm gonna. And they have information on who grabbed earlier. As well as sell the elementals for why I put that. We'll do that. Oh God, I am tired for no good reason. Oh shit, I haven't had my coffee today. That's why I'm tired. Oh, I wonder why I was so dang tired. It's probably going to take a minute because it's probably going to initiate the dialogue mode again. So while it's doing that, I'm going to walk away for a second. I'll probably be able to do this stream until... I'm actually not sure. Alright, welcome to Eldoria Adventurers Guild. How may I help you? Okay, I kind of like that. That is a neat character design. I like that one. Alright. Sure. Let's get a few questions about a medallion we found and sell this core. Could please core query request. Alright, let's see what she does. One at a time, please. For membership, I require a completed application form, which I shall provide momentarily. As to the sale, we must first assess the provenance of those items. Start with the medallion, if you would. Tiefling does not flinch at the sight of the pulsating object, though her gaze lingers on it for a heartbeat before she methodically moves a stray stack of parchment into a perfect alignment with the edge of the corner. She gestures towards a blank form near the registry ledger. With a quill, her amber eyes cool and observant. on who it belonged to. I ask as I grab the application form and begin filling it out. Oh, God. Randomly cold. Be right back. Gonna go grab it. Oh. See, this is what I don't understand. Every time it says attempts to deceive. Like, does everybody just think I'm lying? Also, these ability checks seem to take it before any modifiers are actually placed in. His accounts sound straightforward and plausible. Very well. Found items are processed at standard acquisitions unless claimed within a lunar cycle. Please conclude your application so we may address the classification of that particular or peculiar object. Taryn picks up her jeweler's lock, pressing into her eye. She leans over the counter, inspecting the pulsating red core with a critical clinical intensity, carefully avoiding physical contact with it while her free hand keeps the application form perfectly squared on the desk. Keep the application. Hand it back over to her. You also explain how ranks, quests, and rewards work. Left. And be sure how everything works. This should give us an idea of how the DM wants to operate this. I will be right back. The application is complete and thankfully legible. A welcome change from the usual scroll I received. Regarding your query, the Guild operates on a merit-based tier system. Copper for novices, silver for established operatives, and gold for our senior members. Quests are issued by clearance level, and compensation is strictly tied to the difficulty rating of the mission. Does that satisfy your initial inquiry? Tane takes the parchment with calm, precise movement. She scans it quickly, nods to herself, and places it neatly atop her personal ledger before looking up, meeting the drow's gaze, her amber eyes steady and expectant. Does now there a of merchants to get gear and other items through the guild or guild offer gear and other equipment or purchase any discount? No. Ask curious. I'm just kind of curious. Like, if not, then that's fine. If so, awesome. Guild members receive a 10% reduction at our approved quartermaster located in the West Wing. However, that privilege is standard for all initiates. Any further concessions are tied exclusively to your tier progression. Now, unless you have more queries, I need to properly categorize that object. Jane slides the completed form into a wooden slot behind her with a soft thwack, then adjusts the position of her inkwell by exactly half an inch. She looks down at the red core, her amber eyes scanning its surface for any runes or markings, her fingers tapping a rhythmic, impatient beat against the counter edge. Alright. So, no more queries at this time. We'll just say questions. This time. Please. No. Much the core is worth. I say, well, my face lean on the counter. All right. See what she says there. Welcome. If you guys want, I do have the chat open. You are free to message me if you guys want to give me any ideas to help make the story a little more interesting. I'll always open up to that idea. But otherwise, follow along and enjoy. I cannot provide a valuation based on a casual glance. This object is non-standard, likely magical, and frankly, it is vibrating against the grain of my counter. I must consult the appraiser's manual to determine the safety and classification of this item before I can offer a single copper. Tane presses the jeweler's lap to her eye, leaning in until her face is inches from the glowing core. Her brow furrows as she studies the object, her hand hovering carefully near, but not touching the pulsating surface. Okay. Jesus. Okay. And how long is that going to take? Ask. Clearly not expecting that from so we don't want to, even though I mentioned like a tier 0 crystal earlier, and I do want to kind of run on an idea that there are like 10 tiers of crystals, 0 through 9. I don't also want to at the same time be like, hey, that's tier 0 clearly. Like, my appraisal is finished. 45 silver coins is my offer. Do you accept, or will you be taking that item elsewhere? Sits the jeweler's lap on a velvet cloth with precise, deliberate movements. She rests her hand on the counter, her posture rigid and expectant as she waits for the drow's decision, her amber eyes fixed on the pulsing red core. 45 silver. Here it was just a basic tier 0 core. Take it. Say surprised. Let's see if she says anything about like my thought for it being a different tier, or if she says that no, it is a 0. Current decision. I will finalize the transaction and process the payment from the guild treasury. Please wait at the second desk while I record this entry. Tane exhales a small relief tension leaving her shoulders as she pulls a heavy iron-bound ledger toward her. She produces a small velvet-lined tray, carefully using the steel letter opener to slide the pulsing core into it, and gestures toward the quiet side of the room with a brief, efficient inclination of her head. Argus hands over the fire elemental core and receives 45 silver coins from Tane. Tane is such an interesting name for this woman to have. This tiefling, I should say. Okay. I move over to the second counter. Curiosity tier 4 did it end up being? Tier 1. Let's see. It is a standard utility component, nothing more. Tier 1 is an accurate assessment for such base level findings. Please take your coin and proceed to the quartermaster. Tane slides a small pouch of silver across the polished wood, her hand moving with practiced rhythmic speed. She does not look up from the ledger, her quill scratching a firm line through the entry as she dismisses the curiosity with a cool, final tone. Wow. It's a little mean, but alright. Oh, let's see. Pretty sure we need it in dialogue here. Go ahead and in dialogue. Alright. Clutching your newly acquired coin, you turn from the main counter as Tane gestures towards a secondary desk. The bustling energy of the guild hall washes over you, adventurers of all descriptions moving about with purpose. You glance down at the bundle of bread Draga gave you, then look towards where the quartermaster's station must be. The guild hall is a hive of activity. A burly half-orc cleans a great axe by the roaring hearth. A cloaked figure pores over a massive map, and hushed conversations drift from various tables. Your path leads you past several groups, all engaged in their own discussions, towards a corner where a stout, well-armored figure stands behind a counter laden with weapons and gear. Alright, so let's see. Oh, we got 59 coins now. Not a whole lot. Assume you are the quartermaster. To see for gear. Where to do dangerous. So senses of wisdom and intelligence are like +0. I'm trying to play him off as like not a complete idiot, but not very intelligent either. Oh god, these load screens take forever sometimes. Why do these take forever? Probably going to go for about another 20 to 30 minutes or so. I'll probably call it at about 2:30-ish. Really did it? It erred. Alright, so we're going to do this. We're going to copy. Back out. Go back in. Try again. Sometimes I think it just times out. Really? Alright, so there must be something wrong with the prompt. Sometimes this could just be because I didn't put that there. What's going on? The see if it'll take that. Alright, Quartermaster, precisely. I trust you have your requisition chip prepared. If not, we shall have to make do. Take a look at the inventory, but keep your hands clear of the calibrated instruments. Vorn Kale stands behind a heavy wooden counter, his hand busy micro-adjusting a stack of shipping manifests until they are perfectly flush. He pauses, his gaze flickering over you with a critical, assessing coolness before gesturing toward the organized rows of equipment behind him. See what we got here. Potion of minor healing, light crossbow bolts, fine grit whetstone. Allows a character to sharpen blade weapons, restoring a dull edge to its optimal state. Requires critical technique for best results. Hooded lantern, metal flask. Let's see. So I don't think there's really anything for us to gain from purchasing anything here. Offer also what is position haven't heard of those yet. Alright, a requisition sheet is a standard guild document for logging equipment outflow. Meant to keep your ledgers accurate. Since you lack one, I suppose we will have to handle this manually, provided you have the coin. Very well, see what you require for my stock, and please try not to disarrange the display. Short audible sigh, his fingers pausing the rhythmic straightening of a quill pen. He pulls a thick leather-bound ledger toward him, then gestures with a stiff wave toward the counter, his expression tight with practice, impatient duty. Yeah, so he doesn't really offer me anything. That I would want. I mean, I guess I could do the potion of minor healing. I'm not sure I really want to do that. Do I want to do this though? I don't think I've ever needed hemp rope. I think we do take the potion of minor healing, though. Be on my way. Please. Very well. Do try to have your documentation in order should you require provisions. Again, efficiency is the guild's backbone after all. Let's see here. Alright, very well. Do try to have your... Yeah, he said that already. Alright, way over... Alright, so I think we're going to call it there, just because it's about 12:30, or sorry, 2:30, where I'm at. So we're going to go ahead and call it there. Hopefully next Friday I will be back to continue this character. We'll go over to the guild quest board and we'll try out a guild quest. Begin moving towards our thing. Alright, thank you guys very much, and I will see you all on the next one. Bye.